Now, let me show you the grid here inside Photoshop. Some people love the grid whenever they're using Photoshop for layout. Personally, I don't like the grid. I don't use it at all, actually, but I'm obligated to show it here for you. And maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll decide to use it. I have no idea. What I'm going to do here is I will head to the View menu and then down to Show, and then I'll choose Grid. Or there's your keyboard shortcut there, Command single quote or Control single quote. The single quote key, by the way, is right beside your semicolon key on your keyboard. So go ahead and choose that option there, and we wind up with a grid layout or a grid overlay inside our Photoshop document. And just like your guides, the grid here inside Photoshop is non-printing, so it's not going to show up in your output, either your print output or your web output. Now, that's pretty much it for the guide there. I'm going to zoom out here just a little bit. You can see I have a grid that's overlaying my entire Photoshop file. That's just dandy. But I want to show you something else here inside Photoshop called snapping, and this is going to kind of relate to our guide here as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head up to the View menu, and I want to double check that I have snap turned on. So make sure you have snap turned on. And then the next command down, we have snap to, and we can decide what we want to have Photoshop snap to. So guides should be checked. Grid should be checked. And then we also have layers and document bounds as well, which are optional. Of course, all of them are optional here, but make sure grid is checked there at least. Now, what the heck is snapping? Well, what it's going to do is it's going to snap our movements, either when we're dragging an object on a layer or when we're creating a selection, for example, or something like this. It's going to snap our movements and snap our selections to the nearest grid point. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to zoom in once again here, just by hitting Control plus or Command plus. Maybe I'll zoom in a little closer here. There, maybe something like that. And I'm going to switch over to my rectangular marquee tool inside the toolbox. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my cursor. Do you see where we have, I don't know if you can see this on the video here, but we have some light gray intersecting lines. We have the dark gray intersecting lines, but then we also have the light gray intersecting lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my cursor just down and to the right, just a little bit, of the light gray intersecting lines. And when I click and drag with my marquee tool, what happens is the starting point of my selection now snaps to that intersection on the grid. And as I'm dragging out, you'll see that as my cursor approaches one of the grid lines, my selection edge, my marching ants, jumps to snap to that grid line, if that makes sense. So that's what snapping is. So again, this will happen whenever I'm creating a selection, whenever I'm moving a selection around. You'll see the selection kind of jumps a little bit. And this also happens when I'm moving objects around inside Photoshop. Again, objects that are isolated on their own layers. Now, some people love snapping. Myself, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with snapping. Sometimes I love it. I want to make sure that my movements are very precise. Other times I find it a hindrance and it kind of drives me nuts, so I have to turn it off. So it's an easy command to turn it on and off. It's just View and then Snap. Or there's your keyboard shortcut, Shift Command semicolon, or on the PC, Shift Control semicolon, if you want to use that guy. All right, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn my grid off. So I'm going to head up to the Show submenu, and I'm going to turn off my grid. So the grid's off. I'm going to get rid of my marching ants by deselecting. Try hitting Command D or Control D. I don't mean to inundate you with all these keyboard shortcuts, but I want to make sure you get lots and lots of keyboard shortcuts out of this here. And last but not least, I want to show you really quickly here our preferences for our guides, our grid, and also the slices that we have inside Photoshop as well. So I'm going to hit Command K. You can hit Command K as well, or Control K if you're on the Windows side. And then inside your Preferences dialog box, head down to Guides, Grid, and Slices. When you and I were creating our guides not too long ago, they came out as a light blue, didn't they? Well, you can change your guide color if you want. You can actually change it to whatever you want. You can use the colors here, or you can just click on the little color swatch over on the right-hand side and go and choose whatever color you want out of Photoshop's color picker. All right, so that's your guides there. Oh, you can also change the line style from a solid line. Remember, we had solid horizontal and vertical lines. You can change those to dashed lines if you want. And then we also have smart guides. I didn't talk about smart guides, but you can certainly use them if you want. Essentially what they are is guides that will help you move and position objects that are isolated on their own individual layers. And below that, we have our grid. So our grid color is this dark gray color. Those are our main intersection lines anyway. Again, you can go and change that if you want. It's entirely customizable. Our style is set to lines. You can use dots if you want, or dashed lines. And then you can set your grid line every 2 centimeters. And then our subdivisions, those lighter gray lines, the default is 4. So of course you can go and change these and you can set them to whatever you want. So I'm going to leave my defaults here, but if you want to use your grid and you want to go and customize it, go for it. If you want to go and customize the look and feel of your guides, go for it as well. I think at this point though, I'm pretty much ready to get rolling with a layout here with you inside Photoshop.